and welcome. I'm Jen from Wine Antics, and today our Blab About Wine, which is episode 6. We've done 6 of these. It's amazing. Is free for all Friday. We had some other things scheduled, but they didn't work out, so we're doing wine trivia. It's Friday. Everybody's ready for the weekend anyway, so we're going to answer some questions that Stub has in a little deck of cards, and we're going to go from there. A little introduction about myself. I am a certified advanced wine taster. Wine Antics kind of is this brand that's trying to make wine more approachable. Think about wine from a consumer perspective and connect and bridge those gaps that wine has. No walls, no barriers, no nothing. Wine is for everybody. And with me, I have Stub from Cork Envy.
Hi, Stub from Cork Envy. I am a filmmaker and wine writer, blogger, / expert / hell of a great guy and neighbor. Yeah, I'm glad to be here. And I'm 6. It's hard to believe we've done 6 of these or 6 weeks of this already.
I know. It just goes by so fast.
It's amazing. Yes.
And I think we're getting better at it. We've learned some hard lessons along the way, or at least I have. And the back episodes, I have about 3 back episodes that need to get up on YouTube, but they'll be there soon. I promise. Cross my heart.
Cool.
But let's see what kind of trivia you got, and pray that I can actually answer this.
Yeah. Are you? So it's not trivia; it's just discussion stuff. So are you drinking anything this afternoon, Jen?
I am, because we started with Pinot Noir.
Yes.
Michael Sterling was supposed to be on the show yesterday with us. He is a winemaker at Franny Beck, and I'm continuing to finish this delicious bottle of Oregon Pinot Noir. Here we go. It's his Johannes, right? Johan
yes.
Vineyard, single vineyard.
Yes.
Pinot Noir. And you can tell it's seen some better days, or that I really have enjoyed it up to this point because I'm letting it dribble. Delicious, though.
Yes.
Absolutely delicious. What do you got? You have
like my wrinkles and fine lines that my new makeup is covering. It ages well.
It ages well.
Actually, today I am drinking a Pinot Grigio from Santa Margarita that we opened earlier in the week. That I will be next week, and I'll talk about this again later. Talking about on Daytime Blue Ridge in Roanoke, Virginia, next Wednesday.
Wow. Yeah. Do you have a link for that, or how do we connect with that?
That will be posted after the fact on their website.
Gotcha.
I don't think we can, I've looked, I don't think there's a way to stream that live, but I would think by 2 o'clock at the latest Eastern next Wednesday, my segment should be up on their website, unless I've completely destroyed it and alienate myself from all media moving forward. But you know me, I get a little wacky when I get on film and start drinking, And
now it is TV. It's not just
yes, it's
awesome.
It's WSLS in Roanoke, Virginia. Daytime Blue Ridge is like a midday lifestyle type show. So think of like the 4th hour of the Today Show, except done locally. So I'm looking forward to going and hanging out and drinking some wine at 12:30 with Natalie and Lindy, the hosts. It'll be a fun time.
Not unlike what you're doing right now.
Exactly, except completely live.
Yes.
Yes.
And much better production quality than what we have.
I don't know. Yeah, no, I don't know. I'm saying I don't want to. No, I'm not saying that their production quality is bad. I'm saying ours is all right. We do okay here. We do all right.
My whole HD webcam is working for me.
We've figured out the sound. Yeah, exactly.
And it's one of the harder parts. So let's see what you got.
So what I have here is I have this deck of cards called Wine Table Topics. That's when you're a wine person, people give you all types of wine gifts.
They do.
For every occasion, and some of them are useful, and some of them are like, wow, do I need another bottle stopper? Which are always great, but at some point. So these are just kind of fun, sit around a table with a large group that maybe doesn't know each other, or maybe a nicer alternative to Cards Against Humanity. So just ask questions about wine and discuss. So I figured we'd, because it is kind of Friday free for all, and our plans this week got jacked yesterday with Blab being a problem, that this is a good alternative. So I'm picking random cards. I'm going to ask questions, and then Jen and I are going to discuss. And as she said, join in the chat if you want, and give your own thoughts. And when we're done recording, we'll maybe let a few people in and have some fun.
Answer some more. I mean, I got a little bit of wine left.
Nice.
A good little portion, so we could go for a minute.
All right. So, question 1. This is a little thing. Jen, I know you're nervous about this. This is not hard and fast stuff. No.
I'm nervous.
No, these are very easy. What's the most beautiful winery you've ever visited?
Oh, these are like pure opinion.
Yes.
These are easy, man. I was worried.
It's kind of party and fun. And if we get to more serious chat about these things, we can.
I was worried that it was like, okay, here's my WSET all over again. Let's prove that I know something.
Well, there you
go. So I would have to say, as much as I love Virginia and Maryland, and there are some absolutely beautiful ones in Virginia and Maryland, I haven't been overseas for a lot of wineries, but in Sonoma, when I went up to Sonoma, northern Sonoma in Dry Creek Valley and Russian River, I literally went to a winery where you walked like a couple feet and there was a waterfall. Like, how do you beat that? Like, you just sit outside in some Adirondack chairs and you walk a little ways away, maybe take a stroll with your glass of wine. And of course, there's amazing Zinfandels coming out of that area. Take a stroll with a nice big glass of Zinfandel and you're strolling by a waterfall and then you're hearing the waterfall and you start a picnic because there's amazing little shops that cater to the wine crowd. So there's cheeses and charcuterie and everything. So how do you beat that experience? So I can't remember the winery off the top of my head, but I know it was at the very top of I think it was Dry Creek Valley, way, way, way at the top. And they boasted about having this picnic and overlook area with the waterfall, and it would have been the most romantic place had I not gone with my best friend.
Nice. Excellent. Well, that's cool. For me, I don't want to narrow it down to one. I'll say Domaine Serene was very nice. And that whole neighborhood there in Willamette Valley is just gorgeous. They have some pretty nice neighbors, some beautiful views. So for me, I'd have to say that area is really gorgeous because you're looking out over the mountains and the vineyards, and from like one vineyard you can see the other vineyards, and it's just gorgeous, and you kind of get this real valley feel to it, and it's beautiful there. So I'm gonna stick with Willamette Valley. Yeah, it's just beautiful there. Beautiful, beautiful.
I do have a non-vineyard related experience. So I took a train from Nice in southern France to Marseille.
Okay.
And if you know, that's going through many of the Languedoc wine region in southern France, French wine region. And there were literally, like, the entire train ride, I was on the left-hand side was the Mediterranean, and on the right-hand side there were just hills and hills of vineyards and all the vines and the sloping, and it was a beautiful day. It was fall, but it was bright and sunny and puffy white clouds, blue sky. I didn't even get to stop for any of it, but I remember it being a super magical experience.
Nice. All right, anyone on the chat have anything to chime in with before we move on here? All right. Going once.
Or you could share. Yeah.
Going twice. We're going to move on. You can jump in at any time.
You can throw it in, throw the comments in.
At any time. All right. New card. I promise I'm not looking ahead. You see me shuffling these as I go. So we're going to take these as we come. We don't even know what we're going to talk about. It's awesome. All right.
I was thinking of doing something similar like this, but buying one of those giant wine glasses, you've seen all the spook things, and like writing random things in,
right?
Like,
yes,
a little controversial.
Yeah, this is easy right here, though, right? These are pre-printed, and look, they're beautiful and orange and kind of purplish, and looks great on film. All right, here we go. Which restaurant have you visited with the best wine list?
Oh, we want to get specific, don't we?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to run this into an experience because the dog just fell down the couch.
That was awesome. I mean, the dog looks fine, so it was awesome. Like, that was amazing.
Oh, that's what you get for sleeping on the back of the couch. Whatever. So I was in Israel, and I was in Tel Aviv. and I went to some of the most amazing seafood places, and they had such an extensive wine list, and it doesn't matter because of the name of the restaurant, because it was in um, Hebrew anyway. Hebrew, right? Yeah.
Yep, I think that's right.
And I didn't know what it was. It was just you. Literally, the entire restaurant was all on the beach,
Nice.
on the Mediterranean. Again, can you tell I'm a fan of the Mediterranean or
Of
something?
course.
And and there was music, and there were people playing volleyball, and you could hear the ocean, and I'm a big fan of water too. And they had Greek wines, they had Israeli wines, they had Eastern European wines on the menu, and the prices were so phenomenally fair. I actually had my first Beaujolais Nouveau from there, and it was in the summertime, but it was evening. Like, people don't go out because of the summertime. They don't go out until later on so that they can enjoy being outside, and it's really well lit right around Tel Aviv. And I had my first Beaujolais Nouveau from there, just paired so very well with the very fresh seafood and ceviche. Like, I had never had such amazing ceviche
Of course.
as I had in Israel. So that's what I remember, the wine menu just being extensive and a little bit different. I didn't go different because at that time I wasn't as brave as I am now, but having
Sure.
Greek wines, having Eastern European wines, and then I don't find many Beaujolais Nouveaux on a menu either. So that's my experience.
Okay. I have two that come to mind. One recent experience that I had, it's a restaurant called Fahrenheit 132 in downtown Fredericksburg, Virginia.
Really?
Was down there about 2 months ago with the in-laws.
Write that down.
It's a newer steakhouse in Old Town Fredericksburg, and we walked in and it smelled great. But the wine list was presented, and I was so blown away by the huge selection of wines they had on there.
Really?
Yes, which we ended up buying a second growth Bordeaux that was 1998, I believe, which I was completely shocked was on the list to begin with, number one, in a kind of smaller place in Fredericksburg. But it turns out one of the co-owners is the actual wine director, and he started as a somm, so that's kind of his baby, this wine list. So amazing. And I'd kind of gotten an idea from walking to our table and seeing the servers come by with food that this place could probably live up to spending that money and enjoying that bottle of wine with what they were going to serve us. So that was a great one. And then I'll go a little bit, more national. Ruth's Chris, generally, and maybe it's location dependent. I know they have some stuff, but each location does have someone helping order local wines or from local distributors or whatever. Their wine lists are usually pretty good. And because they're so kind of large, but they are a larger restaurant, depending on the location, you can find some deals there sometimes on what we typically think of as more expensive bottles. So I've found a few times going there over the years that if I wanted to, by perusing the wine list before I go, and I always, before I go there, have the manager send me the current wine list. But you can find some first growths on there that are at the restaurant going for at or below what the retail of that bottle currently would be. So if you're prone to drop $1,200 or $1,400 on a bottle of wine at a restaurant, that would be the place to do it, because if this bottle costs $1,200 retail and you're getting it for $1,200 at a restaurant, yeah, that's been curated. But even at the lower levels, I mean, if you're out for a nice dinner and you want to drop $100 to $200 on a bottle of wine, even to really fancy it up, they have a nice list there. I have found time and again going there. Man.
So wow, what was it was Fahrenheit what?
Fahrenheit 132.
132.
Yes.
So when you're ready to go fancy again, collect me up and let's head down there, because that sounds fabulous.
Yeah, and the cool thing about that place is it's downtown Fredericksburg, so it's kind of one of those long, narrow spaces that you find in the old towns here on the East Coast. It's a little loud, but it's more of a kind of that modern feel in the restaurant, sort of communal, nice big booths. But I will say that, so it feels very friendly, but the food, I think more than, or at least in my one experience there, more than lived up to what I might have thought it would have. And the prices on the food were great, and the prices on this wine list were also quite amazing, to be honest with you. I mean, even though we popped at that very specific time because we were celebrating our anniversary and my father-in-law's birthday, kind of both late at the same time, I'm like, yeah, let's get a special bottle of wine if they have it. And
what was the price on that special bottle of wine?
It was a couple of dollars. It was that wine ran us $400.
Yep.
Which actually, and then retail price on that. I don't like pulling my phone out at restaurants generally, especially nicer places, but I do if I'm going to drop that much coin on a bottle of wine.
Yes.
I do look to see how close I'm getting to value. And that wine was generally selling for retail at that point, if you could find it in a place for $325 to $400. So once again, good place. Plus the advantage to buying an older wine like that at a restaurant, if it is not good or it's spoiled, you're not going to pay for it.
It's very true. And we talked about that on our show too. Not only that if you don't like it, you definitely have a right as a consumer to say, I don't like this and it's a lot of money, so maybe we can find something else. But also that your margin or the markup is lower, the higher you're paying for that bottle of wine.
And just one correction. It's not a not like it. It's not a personal preference thing. It would be if the wine is actually spoiled or corked or gone bad or whatever. If you don't like the thing you ordered because of a taste thing, that's kind of on you. But yeah, what's that? It's going to happen. It's going to happen. Just do it.
She's already halfway off, but falling back asleep.
Bam. All right. You ready for the next card, Jen? Or no, go ahead.
Ready.
All right.
No, I'm ready.
You sure? I didn't mean to interrupt you.
No.
All
I was distracted by that.
That's a good one. That is going to happen. What's the funniest thing that's happened to you after a few glasses of wine?
So how embarrassing do I want to get with this?
that is up to you.
Oh, so this must have been like 6 years ago, and this is totally bad form of me. I had pre-gamed, and I had pre-gamed to the extent that it wasn't pre-gaming anymore. It was just straight drinking.
Sure.
And we had to go to a party in DC. It was at a very small place, but a very nice apartment that somebody was hosting a housewarming party. And I was already too far gone by the time I got there. And then had a glass of wine and I don't get stupid per se when I drink wine. Liquor is a whole other story. But when I drink wine to some volume, I get really tired. And I found this very comfortable IKEA chair, which I sat down in the middle of the party and fell asleep.
Nice.
And I put my jacket over my head
because
it was too bright.
Excellent.
It was too bright. Put it right over my head, and then I became like the prop for everybody's social media pictures.
Of course you did.
Like
nice.
With the sleeping chick in the middle of the party.
All right.
Super rude of me.
Not bad. So I'll tag team on that because you mentioned that. Michael Sterling was here. This has been several years back now, and it was, I believe, New Year's Eve, and we started popping bottles very early. And I think between the four of us that were here, we opened more than 2 bottles apiece, I think.
Oh yeah.
Because at this point, like, we both have bottles we want to open, so it's one of those things where everyone gets excited. So Michael's brought a few bottles and he opens this and he's like, oh, let me open this. And I'm like, oh, wait, you like that? Let me pull this.
Oh, yeah.
So we just started going back and forth. And I did the same thing. I ended up falling asleep on the couch and I have been, from that photo he took of me, the butt of just every now and again, a text joke will come through and be like, hey, remember this? And I'm like, oh, thanks.
Yeah.
The one I was really thinking about, though, was at Michael Sterling's tasting when I opened the thing by welcoming everyone to my home, because there were several people here I'd never met before, and saying that our 2 rules in our house are don't steal anything and don't break anything intentionally. And then at the end of the night, after, I'm talking with both of my hands with a glass in my hand and a bottle in the other, and somehow clank the bottle right on top of the glass, and I'm the person who broke something that night.
And then
Although
all
not
of the room goes silent.
although not intentionally, because I didn't do it on. Yeah, so I didn't break a rule. And I could look at everyone's face going, how much has Stubb been drinking tonight? Which was an appropriate amount for a tasting. But
It was very.
it was just an excitement about the thing, and I was, got excited with my hands and right on top of the glass there. So I would say that's it. And if that's the worst thing that's ever happened to me, then so be it.
You actually just christened the event. Like
Exactly.
you brought good luck to the event, and I think Michael would actually agree with that.
Of course, no. I think it was a good time. So
You should do more of those.
I
A
would
lot more.
I would try to do that if I have the opportunity. I would love to do some more of those for people. That was a fun time.
Was.
Yeah.
Let's
All right.
let's see what else you got in that handy deck of cards.
Let's see. I'm going to pull from the middle. That way you watching at home don't think that I'm pre-reading this.
Nope.
What is the oldest wine that you have tasted?
Oh man. Honestly, I don't have a heck of a lot of experience with older wines. I probably a 2008. Honestly. Like
okay.
really don't. Well, I'm a realist when it comes to a budget, and then you have to get to a certain point as a wine consumer and as a knowledgeable wine consumer before you'll invest the money into an older bottle of wine. And then there's it's like the stock market too when you're buying an older wine. So I haven't gotten to that point, and I haven't aged many wines from my personal collection because, damn it, I like to drink wine.
Sure.
So, but I think about 2008 is the oldest I've had.
Fair enough. The oldest wine I've actually tasted, and well, there's kind of two. I've tasted a Madeira from 1969, I believe. But the oldest actual still kind of regular wine that I've tasted is 1984. I've had several 88s, an 89, stuff going into the early 90s. But yeah, that's just me. And quite honestly, the oldest wine that I've ever personally purchased, I think, was a 98. But I have good friends. So,
you do.
And I have some 82 Bordeaux's at a friend's house. I don't, but there are 82 Bordeaux's at a friend's house down the street here. And I've been trying to convince him for several years
Open them up.
We need to open those things and taste them. Because I know he's moved a few times. He's kept them well when he hasn't moved. But I'm like, do it. 2006 Riesling. How was a Riesling?
I know. How did that do? You have to let us know, John, because I'm always leery about white wines. You know, how well they're produced, and are they meant to age? Because typically they're not meant to age.
Like a cork Chardonnay.
Mm-hmm.
Do you remember, John?
Delicious.
Do you remember where the Riesling was? Where it was from?
Did not age well.
Yeah.
No. Yeah, I'm not surprised. I mean, the rule of thumb is 2 years on a white wine. They're not meant to be aged.
So
generally.
Yeah, that's true. The Rieslings, you say Riesling, like if it's just a typical, Riesling made in Washington State or something, maybe. So there are people that will age Rieslings, the German Rieslings or Alsatian Rieslings. Some of those, depending on how they're made, how they're oaked, how they're aged before they're bottled, can last a good while. So there's that. Yes, I would think a California Riesling from 2006. If you told me that you were going to open that for me, I would be very leery of it going in. But it's one of those bottles, though, that you get or sitting around that you've never opened, and you're like, I need to open a wine. Let's try the Riesling kind of thing. So
I'm guilty of that too with whites because I've only been drinking wine probably since really getting into the craft, not just drinking it, since about 2000. Maybe 7. And then I purchased white wines at that time, but they weren't my palate now. And I kind of let them go to the wayside. So I'm opening up a 2010 white, and that's 6 years old now. And I'm like, Oh, it's a gamble.
Yeah.
This, number one, it could be super sweet because of when I bought it. And it could be just really bad. I opened a Petite Manseng from Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, I know how much I paid for it. And it was so bad. It was just not. It was corked, definitely corked, and way past its time. So you got to be careful with whites.
Yeah, of course. But John, you're saying that, it's a wine that was around. You said give it a try.
Yep.
The other thing about wine is even if it's horrible and bad and corked, you can taste it and drink it, and you can drink 2 glasses of it. It's not going to hurt you. It's not like eating spoiled chicken or anything. So, yeah, that's a good thing. I always say drink the wine you have. If it's old and you think you want to drink it, open it up and give it a go.
Yeah, you can always put some lemonade in it.
Lemonade. Right.
Lemonade, little iced tea, a little brandy, fruit.
Tweet that out. We just made a new cocktail.
I do that all the time in my white sangrias. I'm putting limeade
in
there.
Sure.
Yeah. So you just put something sweetener, like do whatever you can to mask it if you really want to save it. And I should have done that, but mine went straight down the sink.
Absolutely.
I was just sad with it.
All right.
So thank you for joining in the card game we got going here, John. Soon we'll be opening it up to everybody.
Jen, you want to pick a card?
Oh, how do I even pick one? There you go. I would be like, I'll point to that one with the broken tip there.
Joke. All right. Ooh, this is a good one. Would you rather have a wine cellar, home theater, or swimming pool?
Are you serious?
That's the question.
Wine cellar.
That's the question on the card. All right. I'm gonna go swimming pool personally.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, my home theater setup's good enough. I mean, it's not an actual AMC, but whatever. I've got a TV. I've got sounds. I've got a nice place to store my couple hundred bottles of wine.
That's fine.
And it's a shelf, but it's temperature-ish good for it. I mean, it's not refrigerated, but yeah, whatever. And quite honestly, of the 200 to 250 bottles I have, there's maybe 12 of them that really matter as far as holding for any period of time. So yeah, I don't know. I'm going with swimming pool.
So I grew up in Florida, and I know what swimming pools require maintenance.
Of course.
Nope. No, thank you. I will find a community pool.
I totally get it. Well, that was an easy one.
It really was.
All right, here we go. Let's pull another one then. Keep going. Ooh, if you could set aside any bottle for a special event in 15 to 20 years, what would you choose?
If I could put aside any bottle of wine?
If you could set aside any bottle of wine for an event 15 to 20 years from now, what would it be?
Like, I'm going to go with the ones that I have.
Okay.
Let's start there.
Fair enough.
So I have a Meritage done by Thanksgiving Farm, which is a Maryland wine, and I don't have a bunch of really intense fancy wines. Okay. I've been holding that since I think 2012 because I was told that it will age well, and I believe that from their practices at Thanksgiving Farm. So I think I would hold that close to 10 years. And then I have a single varietal, which is a Mourvedre from Texas that I know. Okay. Again, I know the winery and I know their practices there, met the winemaker. So I think I would let that age for 10 years. Right. But I don't have an extensive I'm sitting on a beautiful Bordeaux from 2010. No. This is what I have. I would let age.
All right. So we're in a 15 to 20 year time frame. I would go with a 2005 and or 2009 Bordeaux. They are across the board. The 2005s are still available in most retail locations, a little less commonly. The 9s are still pretty common. I've told people anytime you get a 5 or a 9, and this is actually worldwide, but the Bordeaux very specifically, even at the lower end of the price scale, those Bordeaux have been amazing. I'm holding on right now to several 2005s. Some of them, depending on price points and this and that, I'm going to open sooner than later. But I'm sitting on 2009s, and I actually have a 5 and a 9 from the same producer that I'm looking to do a little bit of a comparison tasting with here. I mean, I'd love to do it today, but I'm probably going to wait a couple of years before I bust both of those open and see what's what.
No, I can't be there today.
Very generally, that's what I would go with.
That's and it's so interesting that you have those types of experience because we talk about thinking about wine as a commodity, but like as an investment commodity. I haven't thought of it in that terms, and I'm getting there. I think there's an evolution when you become a wine drinker and an enthusiast and somebody that cares about wine, that you have to build up to
Sure.
taking on that knowledge, and I didn't know
Right.
about 2005s and 2009s.
Yeah, those are the nines you can pretty easily find, even like in Total Wine here and there.
Okay.
Tens were good too, but the fives and nines were really good beers, especially for Bordeaux's, in my humble opinion, and I think a lot of people agree with that. So, bam.
Awesome.
All right.
We're
Next.
knocking these out. Like
We
this
are.
is
This-
good.
This is kind of fun. I hope there's an expansion pack so we can do this every now and again.
They need to
when
do
we're-
Cards Against Humanity like this.
When we're both super busy in a week and we're like, oh, we don't have time to plan a show. Let's just do this thing. I was going through topics last night after we chatted and trying to figure things out. I'm like, let me pull these cards out. This would be fun.
let me use one of these wine gifts that people have given me.
Ooh, here's a great one. If you owned a winery, what would the name of the winery be, and what wines would you produce?
Oh no. I am not like a typical let's merge family names like what Franny Beck
Sure.
did. Like I know
Sure.
that was the merge of the mother's
Yeah.
names, right?
Yeah.
I'm not that way. Like I would
Okay.
have to do some kind of pun or play on words or something like that. Like I'm looking at a license plate that spells wino, but it's spelled like vino, but wino or something like
Yep.
that. I wouldn't want it to be cliche per se,
Right.
but I would want it to be punerific.
Okay.
I would want to appeal to somebody that didn't take wine seriously. I would not put chateau in it.
Okay.
No, chateau. Chateau Jen, no.
So what wines would you produce then?
I believe in blending. I mean,
Okay.
I believe in single varietal too, but I believe very strongly in blending. And it would also depend on where it is. Like if I was doing it in Virginia, I'd be doing Cab Francs, Cabernet Sauvignons, Merlots, Petit Verdot, Tannat, amazing
Yep.
reds, maybe a Norton. And then on the white side, go Vidal Blanc, Viognier, Vidal Blanc, Viognier.
Mhm.
I would like to see how a Sauvignon Blanc does because we had
In Virginia?
because
Oh.
the Welsh one we
Yeah.
tried, that was phenomenal. So
Welsh is good. Glen Manor Sauv Blancs are amazing too.
there you go.
Yes.
So diversity is key, and being able to create those blends, and then the whites to do not only a dry but a sweet version of it. I've had some amazing Vidal Blanc dessert wines.
Yep.
You need to think of this as a business, not only as just a
Sure.
winery, but yeah. So stick with where it's growing right. What's growing right
Absolutely.
in the right region.
So
That's
I would go with Chateau Stub because I'm a bit of a self-impressed bastard. But if I had to choose the wines to make, I think I would, and I'm assuming that I can put my imaginary winery anywhere. I would either go with Bordeaux varietals to do single varietals and blends, or I would go with Rhone varietals
Oh yeah, that's true.
as well. So with that, I think I got to be honest. I know I'm talking a lot about Paso. I love that Central Coast area.
Okay.
And that whole Rhone Ranger concept that comes from there, with guys like Larry Schaefer and the really crazy guy that was the original Rhone Ranger, whose name is escaping me right now. I just love that area. I love the wines they produce, and they can also do Bordeaux varietals there as well. So I'd say I'm going to plant somewhere in the Central Coast,
Okay.
and I'm going to do some combination of those things. I also, though, think as a winery, I think a lot of wineries have way too many wines.
Mm.
So I would keep my portfolio year over year as I'd say tight as possible. Like I wouldn't want to make 14 different wines every vintage. That's just crazy. But I'd like to have a little room to experiment with some different things too. But Bordeaux and Rhone, that's where I would go.
All right.
Yeah.
Wow. He's
All
thought
right.
about this. Like I don't ever think about planting vines. I just think about drinking as many as I can.
Oh, I don't
That's
either.
where
But Jen, do you get this question? Do you want to be a winemaker? Do you want to own
I
a
do.
winery? And
Do.
you're like, I got to be honest.
No.
Like
Mm.
I've done the internship thing. I've done it. I think I would enjoy working in a winery. I think I would enjoy being partners with someone in a winery where, you know, we had someone growing and we had someone who was actually the winemaker. I wouldn't be mind being called an assistant winemaker, but I think my talents would be more in, doing the hard work if I needed to. But I think my talents are more in maybe with blending sessions, helping that. I think my palate's good enough to do that. But I think more on the business hospitality side is probably more where my talents lie. And my palate's good enough to help, especially with blending stuff. And once again, I'm not old and out of shape enough that I can't do the physical work of harvest. But yeah, I tell people, no, I don't really want to own a winery. I don't want to be a winemaker. I respect the hell out of people that do, but I don't think that's where my future lies in wine.
I think it takes a unique passion to want to do that, because it's not just this romantic notion of being in the vines and really crafting it by tasting and whatnot. No, it's chemistry. It's writing things down. It's getting out in the fields and doing measurements of ripeness and making sure you have the right sugar. There's too many. It's too much. There's too much.
It's a crazy thing. And I can tell you, just from picking to do bricks and acid tests, like even walking through the vineyard and randomly picking these bunches so you can take them back and do the chemical test on them and see where you think, and looking at the weather forecast. I mean, that stuff is fun. But even spending 2 hours walking through the vineyard, grabbing stuff from however many rows of Chardonnay, like that's just awful. And you're in this beautiful place and it's awesome, but it's getting a little warm still. And you're just like, what am I doing? Like, I'm not running. I'm not riding my bike. I'm literally walking up and down hills in a vineyard, grabbing bunches of grapes and
squeezing and testing. And
it's one of those things where you have to remind yourself to like look up and say, oh, look, there's, whatever flying over, or look at the sky today is gorgeous, or look at the view when I get to the top of the vineyard. It's just crazy.
And it turns into a business. And
yes,
this is the nicer side of wine, where we get to talk about it and share with other people. I think you'd be completely amazing at any winery that you would work at as an assistant winemaker, as a harvest hand, or even in the hospitality realm. I think we would all lose out if you went to work for one winery.
Oh, well, thank you.
You're welcome.
Now I'm going to cry and my new makeup's going to get wet.
That's what I'm really here for. I want to see that look of running makeup on you.
Oh no, this makeup is amazing. I don't feel like I have anything on even. It's amazeballs. I'm loving it. I love it. And the nice lady who helped me with my new makeup today, choosing colors and styles, maybe volunteered to help me out at some point with some writing or videos. Yeah, that's great. She is a comedian and does stuff, so that was kind of fun.
Oh, what a great connection.
Yeah, it was cool. She's like, I don't have a card on me. I'm like, look me up. You'll be able to find me pretty easily, and you'll see why I am a man in a makeup in a cosmetic store who is not embarrassed to have a woman put makeup on me in the whole store. I did get a weird look though at some point, so whatever. I don't care.
Whatever. People get used to it. RuPaul is making strides for men in makeup.
I guess I would say I'm not going to go that far, but I would be a liar.
But if the extreme is accepted, then you and Alta getting ready for camera,
right,
it's nothing.
Yeah.
And I think Sarita's also a wine writer, and she's a wine personality influencer in the community. And she gets hit with this question a lot. Like, don't you want to be a winemaker? Don't you want to own a winery? And I think that's because consumers, generally people that are not somewhat knowledgeable about wine, there's only a few things that are recognized and marketed as a wine professional. And that's, you're owning a retail shop, you are making wine, you're owning a winery. There's not this middle ground of real hospitality outside of the Somm track where you're in a restaurant. So it shouldn't be that way. Like, influence matters a lot. And
it's like the people who ask your grandmother or your favorite aunt with her great recipe because she cooks well, like, oh, you should open a restaurant.
I know.
It's like, no, she shouldn't. Like, she slaves and complains about cooking for the family, but she loves it. She would hate it if she had to do that every day, like for money to make her life, and it's crazy.
Yeah, and Sarita's right. It's like it's the end game for all people that care, care about wine. Owning a winery is not an end game.
Right. It's like if you're an actor, people are like, "Hey, do you want to be in a blockbuster movie?" They're like, "No, I'm a theater actor." Like they want to do theater.
Yeah.
Now they would be in a blockbuster because that would put some money on the table, but put some food on the table. But yeah, that's not necessarily your end game. Or like, "Hey, I'm a filmmaker, so you want to write and direct?" No, I'm actually a sound guy, or I want to be a producer. Like all of these jobs are very different.
Yes.
Yes, wine bar I get a lot, Sarita, and I get people telling me that I would do very well at running a wine bar. And I'm like, of course I would. And I would never see the inside of my house ever, because I would be there
all the time,
20 hours a day.
Yep.
And the hours I was here, was at home outside of those 20 hours, I would still be doing work for the wine bar.
And
it's crazy.
I think that like wine educator needs to be emphasized a little bit more outside of certifications, like influencers, wine writers. What we're doing right now, this is wine education. We're sharing our experiences with you and telling you, maybe you'll pick up something along the way and make you a better consumer. Wine educators are, because the commodity itself is becoming so broad and there's so many options out there, it's just as important as being there to produce it. Like, telling you how to consume it.
And if you're in an area where there are wineries and you set up a kind of a wine touring place, or make some connections with local distributors or retailers or even wineries, and you bring business to them, that's helping everyone out in the wine business because you're a knowledgeable person to do that. So you're handling maybe logistics from getting, a bachelorette party to and from a couple of wineries in a day, or bringing people to a retail shop to do a wine and painting class or whatever it is. Like there's places for us who are, wine experts, whether kind of self-titled or whatever. There's a great place for us in the community and in the business of that, that helps us out and allows us to do something we're passionate about, and also helps out whether it be wineries or retail or whoever. Yeah.
All right. So I think we have time for one more question.
I was just about to say that.
I know,
Let's do one more and we'll finish up. That's good.
In your mind.
Look at that. We're there. All right. This is a good one. If you could drink only one varietal for the rest of your life, which would you choose?
No. Are we talking single varietal?
That's what it says. One varietal. Not favorite blend, not favorite region. One varietal.
No, I need one per season.
No, can't. It's gotta be one. Come on, Sophie's choice here.
I would.
Ooh, wow.
That's
Cab Franc is shocking.
Yeah, that is kind of shocking, because I would probably go Cabernet Sauvignon.
Okay.
I think I would probably go that. Though I love the Mourvedre, I just don't have enough experience with it. And I'm definitely not going to go white to drink the rest of my life. It's just not full enough. But if you think of the way a Cabernet Sauvignon, how it kind of ranges in different areas, and the alcohol, the intensity, the boldness, it's a really good gauge on the terroir. Like you can really feel it. Warm climate, cold climate.
Yes.
I think it would be Cabernet Sauvignon.
All right. Because we're fair, do you have a close second?
Sauvignon Blanc.
Okay.
That would be my second.
I asked this because I go back and forth, and I think Cab would probably be my absolute go-to as well. Champagne, of course.
Wow.
Perfect answer. Didn't even think about that, but that's a great one.
I did, but I mean, you got to know Sarita. Sarita is bubbles and rosé. Like that's her go-to.
Oh, I love bubbles as well, and it goes great with almost everything you can do. But at some point, like I'm not going to open a bottle of bubbly and light a cigar with it, or have it with steak necessarily. No. So I would say Cab for that reason, because you can get some lighter, and my second choice would be Syrah.
Yeah, you do talk a lot about Syrah.
I love the Syrahs. You get towards the Rhone thing with the DSMs. I love that. I love the tannins. I love the fruit. I love the bigger fruity ones. I love the more subdued ones with the earthy notes. So my close second would be Syrah. I don't think it has as much variation though, region to region, as Cab does. So Cab number one, Syrah second.
But you can
All
even say
right.
that about Sauvignon Blanc. Like regionally, it does get a different taste to it.
Also true.
So I guess that's why I want a versatile varietal. If I have to choose just one, I want it to taste different in every region.
I'll give you that, and that's my point too with the cab is like I can have a big cigar and a steak with the cab. I can't do that with a Sauv Blanc.
Sure.
I mean, I could, but it would be wrong.
Yeah, it would be.
I've never opened a Sauv Blanc and thought, man, this would be awesome to sit on the patio with a cigar. Like, that's a horrible idea.
Unless it's really warm outside, but then I would be like, I'm not in the mood for a cigar.
Yeah, like if I had a cigar and someone's like, hey, try the Sauv Blanc, I'd be like, sure. But the Sauv Blanc is never going to make me say, oh, I'm going to save a glass of this for after dinner and have a cigar with it. Like, I'm never doing that, ever. All right. Well, how'd that go, Jen? What'd you think? Pretty easy, right? Pretty fun.
Think this is awesome. And we made it through maybe no more than 10.
Oh, I just put it away. We made it through at least 7 or 8 at least. Yeah.
I think we could do this again, and we'll do a little bit more, maybe a couple more. So we're going to cut off the on-air portion. Yep. Thank you, everybody, for joining and putting in the comments. We do this twice a week. This is Blab About Wine. Different topics, new hosts, or new guests, I should say, same host, every week. And we roll with the punches here, too. Because sometimes it doesn't work, but we make it the best that we can. And thank you for joining us. Thank you, everybody on the replay. We'll see you next week for episode 7.
Yeah. Cheers.